For this hat, I'm using 2 strands of a number 4 worsted weight yarn, so I'm going to use the 2 strands as 1 strand. If you were using a number 5 or number 6 bulky yarn, you only have to use 1 strand. So to do our cast on, we are going to make a slip knot and place that slip knot on our anchor peg. When we do our cast on for this hat, if this is peg 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way around to our last peg we'll call 36, we are not going to cast on pegs 1 or peg 36. So I'm going to skip peg 1 and I'm going to do my double E-wrap cast on method, and I'm going to start with peg 2. So to do our double E-wrap method, we're going to wrap each peg twice and knit off and gently pull. So we're going to continue that all the way around pegs 2 through 35, and we are going to stop before we get to peg 36. I'm coming to the end of my row. I'm still doing my cast on. And I'm going to stop on peg 35. And I'm not going to cast on peg 36, our last peg in the row. So we have every peg casted on except for peg 1 and peg 36. So now I'm going to turn and go back to the right, and I'm going to do an E-wrap knit off on every peg that has a loop on it. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to turn, and when I turn and go this way, I am not going to knit or E-wrap or anything this first peg right here. I'm going to skip it, go to the next one. To do our E-wrap, we're just going to E-wrap. We can go ahead and do a few at a time and then knit those off, and I'm going to continue on all the way to peg 2. I'm finishing up row 1. So I did my cast on, and then I did row 1 to the left doing our E-wrap knit. Now for row 2, I'm going to turn back to the left, and I'm going to be doing a purl stitch. From now on, we are going to continue to go to the left in our clockwise direction. For our purl stitch, again, I'm going to skip this peg since I am turning in the opposite direction. I'm going to skip this peg, and I'm going to go to the next peg for my purl stitch. To do the purl stitch, we're going to take our hook and bring our hook under the loop that is on our peg. We are going to scoop up the loop from below. We're going to take this whole loop off the peg, put the new loop back on, and gently pull. So we're going to continue this all the way around, and then I'll show you what we're going to do when we get to the end. I'm coming to the end of row 2. Now, like I said, we're going to continue on in the left direction clockwise. Now go ahead and take this off my anchor peg and just push that to the back and pull it in the inside of your loom, and we will weave that in when we are finished. To close up this gap, we are going to cast on by doing our double E-wrap cast on for these 2 pegs. And then this will join our hat together. And then we'll continue on from here just like we would a normal hat. So our pattern is going to be, for row 3, we are going to E-wrap and knit off every peg. So I just cast on this peg, so I'm not going to do anything more to this peg. So I'm just going to start with peg 2, and I'm just going to E-wrap and knit off all the rest of the pegs all the way to peg 36 over here. So finish up this row of your E-wrap knit stitch and meet me back here. So I'm finishing up row 3 with my E-wrap knit stitch. For row 4, I am going to purl the whole row, and then I'm just going to continue the knit 1 row, purl 1 row, all the way till I get the length of the hat that I would like. When you knit 1 row and then follow it up by a purl row, that is called a garter ridge or a garter stitch, some people call it, and that's going to give you that nice pattern of the hat, which kind of mimics hair in this case. So finish up row 4 with your purl, and then you're going to continue on alternating between your knit 1 row, purl 1 row. When you get to the length of the hat that you would like, then you need to finish off your hat with 1 row of our E-wrap knit stitch. This is going to make your drawstring bind off better. So go ahead and finish off your rows and meet me back here for our drawstring bind off. So I just finished my last garter row, and I'm going to end the hat in another row of just the E-wrap knit off as my last row. Okay, now I'm finished making the hat, and you can see already before we pull it off the loom how this line right here where the 2 rows meet together, once it's done, is going to look like the part of her hair, so it's going to be super cool. So now we're just going to do a regular drawstring bind off, and then we'll finish our hat from there. Once you finish your drawstring bind off at the top, then you'll want to go to the bottom where we had our cast on thread, and you'll want to secure that into your hat. Now we're going to turn our hat in right side out. And there we go. We have the edge right here in the front that's going to kind of look like her hairline is kind of parted like that, and down the center. So now we're going to make the Princess Leia buns that go on either side to finish off our Princess Leia hat. So now we're ready to make the bun on Princess Leia's hair to go on the side. So we'll need to make 2 of these. For this, you're going to use your 24 peg loom, and if you use that, you will make a bun that's about this size. If you want a bigger bun, you can use a bigger loom, or if you wanted a smaller bun, you could use a smaller loom, but I don't think you would want it any smaller than this one's going to be. So if you've ever made a scrubby pad, This should look very similar. It's almost exactly the same, except we're going to do something at the end because we're using an E-wrap stitch, and an E-wrap stitch doesn't look like this. And so we are actually going to turn it inside out, which I'll show you when we get there. So the first thing we're going to do is what's called a drawstring cast on. So to do our drawstring cast on, we're going to start off by making a slip knot. We're going to fold that and put the back loop through and pull, and we're going to set our slip knot onto the loom. To do our drawstring cast on, we're going to take our working yarn, and I'm still using 2 strands of the number 4 worsted weight together as one yarn, just like we did for the hat. So I'm going to start with the first peg, and I'm going to go behind the first peg, in front of peg 2, behind peg 3, in front of peg 4, behind peg 5, and I'm going to continue this process of in front and behind all the way around my loom. Till I get back where I started. I'm going to go behind the first peg that we had went behind before. Then I'm going to take my working yarn and I'm just going to lay it in front of the pegs while I knit off every peg that has a lower loop. And you don't want to do this too tight, so just kind of keep everything not super loose, but not crazy tight. So I'm just going to go around, and everywhere that it has 2, I'm going to take the bottom one and knit over. You can scoot these down if they're getting in your way. So I just finished my last peg, and I'm back to the first peg on the loom. I'm going to E-wrap the first peg, and I'm going to E-wrap every peg around. And I should have scooted the other row down just a little bit first. And knit off. And I'm going to continue E-wrapping and knit off all the way around. Now my cast on and my first row is complete. I can go ahead and take this off the anchor peg and just push it to the back. And we want to go around and push down all our pegs. Now that was row 1 and we want 16 total rows. So we're going to go around and E-wrap every peg and knit off for 15 more rows. So go ahead and finish that and then you can meet me back here. I just finished knitting my Princess Leia bun and now we're ready for our drawstring bind off. I'm going to cut my yarn and start my drawstring bind off. And the way we do that is we do like we're doing a purl stitch, but then we pull the yarn all the way through. Finish your drawstring bind off and meet me back here. Okay, so once we have it off the loom, if you've ever done a scrubby, you know that you would pull this drawstring and close it up, pull this drawstring and close it up. The problem is that is going to look like this. It's going to give us that E-wrap knit stitch, and we don't want that. We want the inside out that looks just like the garter ridges that we did on the Princess Leia hat. So what we're going to do is we're going to take not the side that we just finished, but we're going to close up the other side first. And the reason is you get a much tighter, better looking hole closed up on the end, and we want that to be on the outside of Princess Leia. So I'll show you that in a second. So go ahead and close up the other side, so not the end we just finished, but the beginning. We're going to do that by threading this on to our yarn needle. It's just going to be like a normal drawstring bind off or close up, where we take the yarn and we feed it through a couple loops. Then we are going to make a little knot to secure it, and then feed it through some more loops. This is going to be on the inside that is next to the hat, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, now we are going to turn it inside out and see how it looks just like the garter ridges of our hat. Then we are going to drawstring that closed as tight as we can, and we should get a perfect, pretty closed up. So then I'm going to take this and thread it onto my yarn needle. And by the way, I like, if you see in my videos, I like the smaller head on the yarn needles, not the ones that come with my looms, but I buy these because I feel like they go through the loops easier. They're harder to thread, but you can just get a little threader and it makes it easy. Okay, so same thing to close this up, but this time I want to make sure I do it nice and neat because this will be seen, but everything should be hidden. So I'm going to go right into the loops and hide that yarn right where it ended, tighten it up one more time. Then I'm going to go underneath here and find a yarn loop. So not really one of the loops that is closing it up, but kind of underneath. And I'm going to make my knot there. And then I'm going to thread it through these loops, cut it off, and we have a perfect cinched up area. So you now have a Princess Leia bun. Again, the hole that isn't as nice will be hidden because it will be sewn onto Princess Leia's hat. So next I'm going to show you how to attach this to the Princess Leia hat. And again, I'm going to take the pretty hole and I'm just going to kind of roll it to the bottom. So instead of having it in the center like that, I'm just going to kind of roll it to the bottom like that. And now we're going to attach this to the hat. So now it's time to attach our Princess Leia buns to the Princess Leia hat. So it's very convenient to have one of these styrofoam mannequins. They're super cheap off of Amazon. I'll put the link below. Or you can get them at the local craft store. They just cost quite a bit more there, but you can use a coupon at most places. So, or if you have a small child, I have young ones at home, so sometimes I'll have them try it on and see. So you can see just kind of where you want the bun to be. Like that. Or you can just look at it in the center and then just kind of see, eyeball it where you want it to be. Okay, so once you get an idea of where you want your bun to be, so what I'm going to do is, like I said before, the area that closed up really well, I'm going to go ahead and put that part down and this part up. Like that. So I'm going to get this on the side where I want it. And then I'm going to take a yarn. I measured out a piece of brown, just one strand. I put it on my yarn needle and I measured it out about 3 arm lengths. Okay, so from the inside of our hat, so we're going to hold it the way we want it. What I want to do is I want to thread this through my hat and through the first layer of the bun, but I don't want to go all the way through. I just want to go through the bottom layer. So that'll just kind of take a little practice as we go. So I'm going to start off through here, and then I'm going to make a knot with my yarn. So I'm going to try to put that where you guys can see. So I'm going to make a knot. In my yarn. This is easier if I were laying this on the table, sorry. Okay, so I have a knot. Let me make sure that's where I want the bun to be. Now I'm just going to go through here, and you can kind of feel when you go through where you're at. You can kind of feel with your fingers, you can kind of feel with the needle that you've went through the hat and through the back side of the bun, but not all the way through. And I'm just going to kind of go through and pull it up and just kind of weave it in and out to secure it to the body of the hat. If you're not sure, you can always push it through, and then bring your needle here, and then bring it like this, and then push it up through. if for some reason you messed up and put the bun in the wrong place, you could go through and just take out this one knot and then undo this if for some reason you put it in the wrong place. So I'm just going to go through, and when I'm putting it on, just this is a preference. I want it to have a little edge here, so I don't want to go all the way like that so that the bun is so flat. I want it a little bit poofy. So I'm going close to the edge, but not all the way to the edge. So as you can see, my needle coming through there. And I'm going to grab, weave it through, and pull it up through my hat. So if you've never done anything like this before, where you're attaching something, it just maybe takes a little time, but it's pretty easy. Usually it's kind of hard to mess up because you're just weaving the yarn through and attaching it. So I'm just going to continue this all the way around. And I always like to give myself extra yarn on my needle just in case I need to go through a couple more times. I'd have enough instead of running out and then having to start with a new thread. Okay, so I've gone all the way around, and I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to see how secure it is. And that's super duper secure. That's not going anywhere. So if it were loose in some areas and you need it to tighten it up, just turn it over and then you would just do it from this side. So I started here and I went around here and then back over to here. So now I'm just going to make a knot in this area since that's secure. And I'm just going to make another knot right there. I'm going to set it down on my table real quick. It's just going to be faster for me to do it this way. Sorry, guys. I like to make an extra knot or two when I'm doing something like this just to secure it. Okay, it's secure, and I'm just going to cut off the extra yarn. And there we have it. So our Princess Leia, we have one ear on, so let's see what that looks like. So one bun, sorry it's not an ear. So that's perfect. So I'm going to just take the other one and secure it on this side. And then we'll have our finished hat. So secure both on, and then let's see what that looks like. So I've just attached one of the buns to this side, and I'm going to attach the other bun to the other side. So I tried it on my kid, and I saw where it needed to be. And I'm just laying it down on my table. I've got the bun here, and I'm looking at the inside of the hat. So what I'm going to do is I'm first going to make a knot with my yarn to secure it to the inside of my hat. So I'm just going to grab a thread in here, and I'm just going to make a knot. to secure the yarn before I weave it in. Okay, now that my yarn is secure and I have a piece of yarn that's a little bit more than the length of my arm. So now I'm going to take the yarn and I want to go down through the hat and down into the bun, but when I go into the bun, I only really want to go through this back layer because it's 2 layers, right? I don't want to go through the first layer because then that'll be shown on the top of my hat, and plus I want that top layer to kind of poof up a little bit. So I'm just going to try to go through this, and you can just kind of feel just the first layer of the bun. And I'm about a ½ inch from the edge of the bun because I want it to have still this little bubble. So I'm not going to weave it all the way to the edge. I'm going to come from the edge about a ½ inch. So I'm going to see where that's at, and I'm going to lay this back down and pull it through the back of my hat. And I'm just going to go all the way around the circle of the bun. So I'm just going to feel here. I'm going to see. Lay my hat down, pull it through. And you're more than welcome to do this however feels comfortable for you. I'm just trying to show someone that maybe has never done this before. So I'm just going around, and I can feel with the back of my hand where the needle's coming out. I can feel that it's just going through that first layer, but you can always turn it around and see if it's not. You can check here and see where it is. And I'm just going to continue all the way around until I get back where I started. And I want to make sure that I secure it across here where the brim of your hat is covering the bun. I want to make sure you also secure it across here and back to the place you started. Okay, I'm back to where I started, and before I tie it off, I'm just going to go around and make sure that feels secure, and it does. So I'm just going to knot this off and then weave in my extra tail. Then I'm just going to weave in my extra yarn. Looks like I made a little extra loop while I was making that knot. Cut that off. And then the tail from where I started, I can either weave that in or cut it off. I usually would have left that a little bit longer, but I can weave that in or just cut it off. Let's see. Okay. And here is is our finished Princess Leia hat. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you next time.